Hello, everyone. This is Norman Aziz. Welcome to another episode of Live Sessions. So, we are live on three platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. As you all know, today we're going to discuss career transformation. So, you can also participate in the discussion via your questions, feedback, opinions. Please hit like, comment, and don't forget to mention your location so we could know where are you joining from. Today, I have Raza Abbas. He's joining me all the way from Pakistan to talk about career transformation. Raza is a globally acclaimed career practitioner. He has earned multiple global awards in career development and has been invited to present Pakistan at premier development forums in more than six countries. So Raza is joining me all the way from Pakistan. I am really thankful for Raza to join me in this discussion. A very warm welcome, Raza, in my show.
Hello, Noman. Hello, viewers. How are you?
So I hope everybody is fine, and we will be, you can say, we'll be checking out their comments and questions. So in the beginning, we'll discuss our topic in hand, and then we can just take the questions and the comments, which will be coming on three platforms. So we'll try to manage in a way that we'll take all the questions. So comments have already started coming in. For example, before we jump in, so we can just show people who are joining us from where. So we have Mala, and Mala is asking what's going on here. Mala, we're going to discuss career transformation, career development, career progression. If that's a topic that is closer to your heart, so you can just stick with us for the rest of 45 minutes. Then we have Jay Allah. Please forgive me if I do not pronounce your name correctly. So I think Dadi is from India. And then we have Jayesh Patel, again, joining from India. Then we have Tree, and she's saying good day to everyone. Right, so perfect. So I think it's a good start to, kick off our discussion. Raza, career transformation, a topic which is very closer to your heart, and you have been working a lot in this domain. So tell us, what does career transformation is all about?
First of all, thank you very much, Noman, for inviting me for your wonderful show, for your efforts for the last 2 years that you have been igniting humanity across the globe. So, what is career transformation? Career transformation is basically when you are igniting your interest, your values, your aptitude with the desire of your dreams. This sounds very cliche, but it can be done if proper career planning is done at a very early age. How are you able to align an organization that matches your vision and your mission? And that is career transformation, to make it very simple. I'll try to have initial starters, so we have a very mutual dialogue, and the audience from people from across the globe can actually contribute and share the insights. Usually when people are stuck in an organization because their interests, their aptitude, their knowledge does not align with the organization's mission and vision. So they are just going through the passage of time in that organization. But when you do when you are wise enough to actually look at the organization's website when you are going through the job interview process, you basically are aligning your career with the organization's values, and that's how you become an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur in the organization, and that's how transformation happens.
I think you highlighted a very interesting point. So, I mean, career is a lifelong thing. So earlier there was a concept that, once you graduate from your university or high school or college, you join a company, you work in that company for the rest of 60 years of your life. Once you get retired, then career is all over. But now career has become a lifelong thing. So you cannot just say that, I'll be working in this specific domain for the rest of my life. So it can happen that you'll start your career in, let's say, sales, and you end up, winding up your career maybe in production, engineering, or any other field of action. So, and organizational values. So, what should we do that we could match our personal values with the organizational values? Because I think this is very important for the people who would like to work in a specific company or a specific industry. If their personal values, they are not aligned with the organizational values, so then there's a collision, and this collision can lead to satisfaction. And if you do not have satisfaction in your job, you will not be productive enough, which is not good for the company at the end, but it's not good for you as a personal and as a professional.
I think that's a very valid question. It's very important to accept that there's a challenge. One of the key things of change management is acceptance. When you understand that there are certain limitations in your career, in your organization, you need to first accept that, I need to go to this step. And I like to share a quote, a book actually from Jim Collins, From Good to Great. So we are all good right now, right? As people that are logging in from all over the world, we need to go towards greatness. And how do we go towards greatness? When we accept that there's a bottleneck. And what is the bottleneck that is stopping us to go towards transformation? Is it our behavior? Is it our knowledge? Is it our interest? Is it our lack of motivation? Is it our lack of geographical location? So it is important that we need to be very self-aware, and we need to ask a lot of guiding questions to understand what is the challenge that is stopping us to transform. And once we are aligned with that, we are able to actually make that shift. So as you asked, I think one of the key things is, when you are at times in this organization that you cannot do too much, but you can change yourself, right? You can modify. When we talk about behavior modification, what can you do to swiftly contribute to the organization? So instead of being a specialist in this COVID-19, it is important to be a good all-rounder, to have a lot of functional experience that you can contribute, and that will actually lead to employability and longevity of your career.
Right. And this lead me towards my next question. I think, again, you highlighted a very important aspect regarding skill set. When we talk about career transformation, career development, career progression, then comes our knowledge, skills, and abilities. So now skill sets are changing dynamically because we are living in a VUCA world. It's volatile, uncertain. Certain things are happening at a very high pace. Every other day there's a new tool. Every other day there's a new technology. And you cannot just rely on your previous skill set, what you had. So people have to upskill with a very high and rapid pace. So what do you think, how important is it for us to reskill or upskill ourselves during the time of change, especially?
Excellent question, Naman. Upskill is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. Number one.
Right.
Number two is, in this whole COVID-19 for the last 6-8 months, what is one skill that is very apparent, that is seen across the globe? That is the power of digitalization. If you're not digital competent in today's high-tech world, unfortunately and sadly, you will be unemployed. So it is imperative that you understand how can you contribute towards this agile work from home. What are the learning tools that you need to learn? MS Teams. Are you comfortable with MS Teams? Are you comfortable with Zoom? Are you very comfortable with speaking in a very different world that we are not used to? Some people are very camera shy when it comes to when it comes to these new tools. So digitalization is imperative that you learn in digitalization skills, and that is the need of the hour for you to upskill. And you need to see which industry are you in and what are the required skills of that industry. But digitalization is the reason why I mentioned digitalization upfront, because that can be used in all industries.
And then of course, we all know the importance of upskilling our skill set and developing ourselves for the future challenges, not only to survive in today's world, but also accept and embrace the change which is happening all around us very swiftly and rapidly, and we don't know what to do and what is coming next. Everybody. So, I mean, the beauty of this time, or you can say, the challenge of this time is that nobody knows what's coming next. What is the next, how the future would look like. Of course, you might be having a sketch in your mind that future would look like probably like this, but nobody can say anything with surety that what would happen after 5 years, what would happen exactly after 10 years. So things are changing dynamically. So the first thing that you mentioned, that we need to embrace change, we need to embrace technology. So you cannot just say that, I'm not good in technical stuff. This is not an excuse anymore. If you are not good enough, then you have to learn. Then again, I will move forward to another question, that there are a lot of people who might be thinking that, we do not have this skill, or we do not know which type of skill set that we need in the near future. So what do you suggest to such people who are stuck, who have no clue what they should do? For example, one of the important skill that we could say that, learning how to learn. So what do you think, which skill is more important, that, it would give you kind of a courage, it would give you kind of a edge in embracing the technology which is coming right in front of us?
Excellent question. Learning how to learn. I think it's important to have a very fluid cognitive flexibility. World Economic Forum mentioned as the most important skill in 2020 the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So
Right.
if you have a very fluent mind, if you have a very agile mind, you will be able to embrace whatever skill that is required. Number one. So you need to have a growth mindset. Now I would like to share a very wonderful book. It's called Mindset. It talks about the growth mindset and then about the fixed mindset. So this whole when we are going through this COVID-19 challenge, it's all about embracing challenges. As you rightly said, that every day is different, and we do not know about the future. We don't have a magic wand per se that what will happen tomorrow, or what will happen after 6 months. So you need to focus on which industry are you in which what are the skills that are required in that specific industry. And it is important to actually project yourself in the organization, that you are visible and you are willing to contribute. I think one of the key things is in this whole COVID-19 is you need to overcome fear, and you overcome fear by embracing change and by contributing in the areas that is required. So one of the key things is, what can you contribute apart from your JD that you are passionate about? And one of the things that I would like to share is, apart from your job, what is the gig that you are known for? And
Right.
it is we are going in this knowledge economy, so everyone has a gig, right? Career development is my gig, right? It's my passion, that apart from my organization development job that I do full time, this is my gig that is my passion. So it's important to understand what is your gig that ignites you as a human being. And if you are confused, if you are lost, it is important to talk to a career practitioner. He or she will be able to guide you to get to your gig and to get to your passion that you can actually build upon.
Right. I think, yeah, that's something which is very interesting for everybody who's watching out there. That, we have to understand what's our gig, and what can we do best. What could be our niche? If you try for everything, you will not be getting anything. So just focus and try to understand what is your plus, what is your, let's say, main strength, which area you can give your best, and then, mobilize your forces in that specific direction. So we got some questions as well, and I'm sure, because these questions, they are related to somehow with our discussion. So I will try to pick some questions which could lead to a fruitful discussion that we are already having towards career transformation. So Joseph is asking, what are the challenges ahead in terms of, career progression or development?
Thank you, Joseph, for raising that question, and a very insightful question. The challenges ahead is, um, we don't know the future. We don't know how long this work from home will actually continue. So the key is flexibility, and the key is, what are your challenges? I'll actually switch the question to you. What challenges do you see as a professional working in your organization that is stopping you to go towards transformation? And what are the baby steps that you can take tomorrow or maybe today? And it is very important that we should take one day at a time. This whole challenge in the last 6 8 months, we don't need to plan too much, because every day is changing, right? We need to ensure that we take one day and we do it very best. And the challenges are, will the 9 to 5 job exist? Will the normal job exist? Do we need to switch our resume from a specialist resume to a skill set resume? so that we are more available to opportunities, not just focusing on our passion per se. Because if we focus on our passion, the employability will be a challenge. So we need to be more like an all-rounder. Rebrand yourself and realign yourself with a with basically transform your CV in an area that what skills have you accomplished over the last 10, 12, 15, 20 years that can give you a meaningful work, decent work, and that will automatically reduce the challenges per se. So we need to do modification, behavior modification, personally, and we need to be very, very calm on a lighter note, because change and chaos and uncalled times are not easy. So if we start stressing on ourselves, it will be difficult, right, to face the challenges. And it is very important to constantly read what is happening in your specific industry, and that's
Yeah,
how
I
we will
think
be able to.
Yeah, I think in any field of life, we talk about our personal life, we talk about our professional life, challenges are always there. You cannot really have a constant environment. So environment is always dynamic, it's always changing, new technology will be coming. People were afraid when there was a third revolution. Now people are even more afraid when there is a fourth revolution. People are talking about robots can take over people's job, or it would be man plus machine. So there are a lot of debate out there, but challenges are always there, and they have always been there, and in future challenges would be there as well. But what we can focus on as individuals, that we can think big but act smaller. If we say that we really want to take a leap giant towards success, that probably gonna not happen. I mean, it might happen if you're really lucky and something, a kind of divine force is helping you out. But in normal and practical life, for majority of individuals, giant leap probably won't work. So everybody has to take baby steps, small steps. First, you have to crawl, then you have to stand up, then walk, and then run towards your goal. But at least you should have a bigger picture in your mind. What we say, think big and act small. So I think if we can lead towards our next question. This is again a very interesting question. Three is asking that about career transformation, especially during the time of COVID-19 and during the time of pandemic. As we know, these days it's very difficult to find work, especially to off-duty COVID workers. Then try to get a job offer, but with just barely enough pay and not in the field. So again, I think a lot of people, they have lost their jobs, and right now they have no clue that to where they need to get in which field they would go. For example, if someone was working in finance and he or she has lost his job, and now that person is getting a job in, let's say, supply chain or in any other field, like customer service. So what do you suggest to such people who are in this awkward situation?
As I mentioned earlier, I think it's important when we are going through very difficult times of chaos. It's important to actually have a job, not focusing too much on the passion and actually the field. Because if we are very selective in that thinking, it will take months and maybe years to find that job,
Right.
because jobs sadly are not there. So as I mentioned before, it is important to have a cognitive flexibility mind that I shared earlier, because sadly a lot of industries have been hit very badly. That is the sad reality that we have to accept. I know it's not good news, but we have to accept that with all due respect. But what I mentioned is that you are Tree. I'm responding to your question. Is you do have a job offer, right? That is a positive news. I know it's not paying you enough, but at least it's paying the bills, right? That's another positive. So we need to train our mind towards positivity as well. Regarding your passion in regards not getting it, not in the specific field, when I mentioned earlier, why not find a gig that you can do part time and that you can find livelihood towards that. So in this way, you are getting an income through a job that is not in your field per se, but at least you are getting employability and you're getting visibility as well, and you're not having a gap on your resume. And your gig can help you support your passion as well. So I hope this answers your question.
Right. So I think that's one of the best suggestion that you have given to Tree, and I think it's gonna add some value, and she would understand what does it mean and how she can take over this challenge. And in my personal opinion, interdisciplinary knowledge, this is also one of the key skill that we should develop within ourselves. If we don't have, then it's right time to understand different functions, different departments, and connections between one function of the company with the other one. So interdisciplinary knowledge can put our application like in a fast track lane. If you have just worked in one department and you do not understand the dynamics of the company as a whole, then probably it's the right time to understand that how other functions work, and you should have courageous enough to try your luck and take a chance in any other function, because ultimately your personal objective is to grow in your career. So if you're going to have experience of multiple functions, then probably it would be a plus on your CV. It won't be just like why you were working in HR and now in finance or marketing at sales. So again, there would be a fair chance that once the market will be good enough, you can always return and come back to your desired field. But it doesn't mean that if you are working in different industry or a different field, which is not basically your, you can say, main career, so it will be kind of a negative on your CV. I don't think so, because according to World Economic Forum and many other companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, they're all agreeing on this specific topic, that interdisciplinary knowledge is the need of the time. If you do not have, then build on top of that. If you have it, then it's a kind of a cherry on the top. It gonna put you in a fast lane career growth. All right. So then we also have a question from a friend. I received this question on WhatsApp, that its situation is quite challenging for the you can say, for the graduates, because there are not enough jobs. Companies are trying to shrink their headcounts. Companies are under financial pressure. So for fresh graduates, it's difficult to start their first gig, because there are no jobs in the market. But it's even difficult for the experienced professionals. As you mentioned that right now there is a concept of home office. So a lot of people, they are supposed to work from home, and if you are working from home, then you have to collaborate in a different way. You have to coordinate with your colleagues completely in a digital environment. If you are a manager, then you have to manage your team in a remote setup. So most of the people, they have not been trained on these kind of skills or these kind of tools and technology. So what do you think, how can they make their life easier so that they could work in a digital setup or digital environment?
Thank you, Claudia, for asking that very insightful question. Overqualified professionals are less happy, but they are working, right? Again, I'm focusing on
Yeah.
the positive side, that they are working. They are not unemployed. So we need to train our mind towards positivity as well, as we are going through these difficult times. In regards to challenge in remote working, so what I can do is, what I can recommend you is, there must be some person at that organization that you are a good work ally with, right? That maybe your team member, maybe your senior, your junior, that can be your remote working buddy or your remote working mentor, and that can put you at ease of how to adapt to this new working style, which will, for some time or the other, will last for longer, will last much longer. I was just reading a report before joining into this LinkedIn live, that Google has now said that work from home will actually last for much longer. So this is a new style of working that we need to accept with all due respect. In regards to remote working challenges, it is imperative that we learn digital skills. And in regards to our adaptability, I know the overqualified professionals or the senior people, they have some anxiety in regards to remote working, but that's perfectly fine. That is acceptable. We need to accept that as a human being and as professionals, and our allies, our team members, our colleagues will be happy to help you and bring you at ease if we ask. So we need to be a bit gentle with ourselves and not get too overworked with this whole remote working concept. I know, I understand that this is a new concept that people were not used to, but this, always ask for help. People are willing to help you. Don't just take all the stress on yourself. That will automatically increase the anxiety. I hope this will make you at ease.
Right, then we also have another question from Joseph, and Joseph is saying many employers are taking advantage of this current scenario. I mean, pandemic with regards to reduced salary, experience, etc. of a candidate who has expensive experience. What do you have to say about this? Yeah, I think this is a reality because in many countries I've heard that companies have reduced the overall cost, and they said that okay, we're going to reduce the staff cost by, let's say, 10%, 20%, 30%. Some companies have reduced salaries of the employees. And even in Germany, many companies, they have gone for short working hours. And if you somehow you lost your job and you are trying to re-enter the corporate sector, so the companies, they are trying to manipulate on the salary that you deserve and the salary they're going to offer you. So what do you suggest people in this specific dimension?
Well, sadly, this is very unjust, and it's very sad. It's a sad reality, but you always have a choice, right? You have a choice to accept that, or you have a choice to go to another organization. So I would recommend, until you are in that situation, embrace that, because you don't have any option, and keep looking for another opportunity where you will be wisely and rightly paid according to your experience. But till then, you have no option but to accept, unfortunately. And this is happening all over the world, not just in one specific country. So it is very important to look at organizations where they are not doing the things that you just mentioned. So I don't have a positive answer to that, but it's just keep on, just be more visible. I think it's important, when if you are stuck in an organization that is not giving you justice, per se. I know there are some other employers as well that have gone above and beyond in this COVID-19. We focus on the negativity. Why not focus on the positive aspects as well, where they have given increments, where they have given bonuses, where they have given you such ease of working. So why not talk to those people? Which organizations are those? Why not conduct information interviews? So there's always hope. We can be stuck in that organization and just talk about misery and negativity, or we can say, okay, this was a great experience. Let's move on, and let's go to another organization that is more loyal to its employees at this difficult times.
Yeah, I think that's a wise strategy. There's a famous South Indian quote in kind of maybe 100 years ago. Someone said about it that if there's a storm in the river, so the best strategy not to be adventurous and jump, rather than staying on the bank and watching it carefully. And once the storm will settle down, then you jump and take your chance, rather than diving into something which is quite stormy and you do not know in which direction the situation gonna sway. So better to watch and wait. And I think watch and wait is kind of a best strategy during the time of crisis, rather than being adventurous and trying out things which you're not sure would work or won't work. Then we got another question from Jobs Worldwide, who's responsible for career company or employee. And I think it was basically what we have also discussed before our discussion, that we're going to talk about this specific topic, that who is actually responsible for career development and transformation. Should I wait for my company to give me some kind of tools and gadgets to take my chances, or is it responsible of my leader, of my manager, or is it my responsibility to talk about career transformation and keep this topic alive throughout my journey?
Excellent question. Career. Who is responsible for your career? I'll just pause for a few seconds. Let me ask the audience. Just share very briefly in the comment section, very briefly. So, who do you think is the whose responsibility is career development? Is it the company's responsibility? Is it the employer's responsibility? Is it the leader's responsibility? We'll just take a pause for a few seconds.
So maybe we can continue our discussion, and we can give this chance to the people who are watching us and our connections, that tell us that what do you think, who is mainly responsible for career development? Is it the organization, leader, manager, or yourself? So if what do you think, tell us, and then we can just take our discussion forward from that point. So then we got another comment from Zach. Need for green economy and green jobs initiative has taken the back seat due to COVID-19 pandemic. What can be done to push such pressing needs? So I think he's saying that some initiatives which were really good in the past, they have taken backseat during the time of pandemic, and Now the focus has shifted towards some other things. So what do you think that, what could be the way out?
Excellent question, Zach, and thank you for sharing that. It is very, very important that we need to advocate for advocacy regarding green economy and green jobs. What have you done as an individual? So I'm just shifting it to you. What can you do towards advocacy for green economy and green jobs? Have you written an article? Have you done an interview? Have you done a YouTube channel for projecting this very important topic? So it's very, very important for those specific initiatives that have taken a backseat. What can we do individually, and what can we do collectively as a society to actually advocate for this important segment that has been ignored in these 6 8 months? So advocacy is very important. We need to create that there's a need. And how does that happen? LinkedIn is one tool, Facebook is another tool. There are various communication forums that we need to raise our voice with leading influencers. So I would recommend you that the leading influencers of the green economy, why don't you influence them? And why not have a YouTube series that you can actually ignite visibility for this very important concept?
Right, wonderful. So I think we have some people who are watching us. Shahriar, one of my LinkedIn connection, and watching us all the way from Pakistan. Hello, Shahriar. Thank you very much for being there. I am fine, and I hope you are doing safe. You are also safe and sound. And then we took the question of Zach, and the question that you put across towards the people who are watching us. For example, Farouk is saying that career development is responsibility of employee himself. Then Joseph is also thinking the same dimension, that is a responsibility of the employee. So I think yes. So now maybe your turn to tell us that what
Thank,
do you think, who's
thank
mainly
you very much for
responsible for career
sharing and for
development?
contributing your answers. Whose responsibility is career development? Is it the employee's responsibility? Is it the employer's responsibility? Is it the leader's responsibility? So my humble opinion will be it's the responsibility of everyone. But the greater responsibility comes to the candidate. How proactive is he or she in the organization? I mean, this is it is very, very imperative that the organization that you're working, how progressive are they in regards to having an engaged career conversation? How important is your career? And it's very important when you have annual performance appraisals in any given organization. It's important that they talk about your career development. So the organizations will focus on your career development for a limited amount of time, but at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to drive that career development on whatever you are passionate about, whatever gig you are passionate about, and you need to keep on building on that. You cannot just based on your past successes. You need to constantly be hungry for career, constantly be hungry, and constantly ignite that flame bigger and bigger. That's how career development will lead towards career longevity, career transformation, and career happiness, hopefully.
Right. Well, Raza, I would like to build on top of your answer. I completely agree what you said about the responsibility and the roles of the employee himself about career development. But I do think that, five fingers are not equal and they can never be equal. You might be having, different generations working under one roof. You might be having, various different types of personalities working within your team. You might be having extroverts, introverts. There are people who are like, between extroverts and introverts. Some people are outspoken. On the other hand, some people, they might be shy. So, you might be having a range of different personalities within your company. So I think, yes, I completely agree with you that it's the main and the sole responsibility of the employee, that he should think about developing or progressing himself or herself. Plus, it's the responsibility of the leader as well. Leader has to manage his workforce. In my opinion, technical expertise can make you an expert, but your people's skills make you a leader or manager. So it's the foremost responsibility of a manager or a leader to understand the dynamics of his or her team and to develop his people and to provide them kind of a channel where they could, have different kind of playbooks where they could try out and experiment their skill set. On the other hand, it's the responsibility of the organization as well, because if organization will not create a culture, you focus on the career development, if you will not create an ecosystem where people will be able to experiment their, you can say, and acquire new skills, or you will not provide them tools and gadgets and technology where career development will be focused thing, then probably it would be difficult for the individual. So every individual will not be that upfront. So there might be people sitting on the back bench waiting for their turn, or they might be waiting that, someone. So again, it's like kind of, in my opinion, it's always a triangle. It's always a triangle. You
I'll
have
just like to,
employee,
I'll just like
employer.
to add a few, Noman, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you, Noman, for sharing that. Your leader, your line manager. I think that is very, very important. It is the triangle, as Noman wisely said, that you can be as passionate as you are about your career, but if your line manager, your supervisor, is supporting you and giving you a career direction, you are automatically engaged towards that organization. That will lead to employee retention, that will lead to organizational goals, and that will lead to a very conducive culture as well. So thank you very much for sharing that insight.
So then we have Komal. Komal is watching us on Facebook. She's saying, "Thank you very much for the session. Thank you very much, Komal, for watching us." And then we got a comment from Zach that career development is responsibility of employers for employee to perform the duties as required. Yes, it is the responsibility of the employers, but it is also the responsibility of the employee and the company as a whole. So you cannot just, pick one element out of this triangle and could say that, okay, employee would have to do everything and manager shouldn't be doing anything towards the career progression and development of his team members. Then probably it won't work. So yes, of course, again, there might be different opinions, so we are here to share our opinion about this topic. So of course, Joseph is saying motivation from employers. Yes, if motivation and kick and kind of pull will be coming from the employers, then probably it will be more lasting and more effective. Then again, we have a comment from Zach. As a head of national development for Qatar Gas and as a career development advisor for AdGas, ADNOC, the employers need to set the objective for employee to perform according to the parameter. Of course, Zach, completely agree with you. Raza, would you like to say anything on the comment of Zach?
Yeah, that's a very excellent comment, Zach. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's very important. It's all about aligning your career objectives with the organization's objectives. So once we have a very holistic approach in which we have the employers on board, the employees on board, that leads to a very engaged work environment, that leads to a positivity, that leads to people having a wonderful culture. Because all this career development is promoting a very holistic culture. It's promoting a culture of learning. It's promoting a culture of longevity. Is promoting a culture that you matter, because people take careers very personally, right? I mean, one of the things that you ask any employee, which date did you join? They will remember that instantly, because they take their job so seriously. So if you combine the employers and the employees perspective and the leaders perspective, as Noman wisely said, we have a very robust triangle, a sustainable triangle that will have a very robust impact on productivity in organization development to transform from good to great.
Then we also have Sanjay from India. Sanjay, thank you very much for tuning in. And it would be great if you will also share your experience and thoughts about the topic that we have, career transformation. Right. So moving forward, Raza, the next thing I would like to ask you, that it's a bit easier and probably easier for the people who are already part of industry, because you are there, you're experienced professional, you know how things work in corporate sector. There are certain tools and trainings available within the company that you can acquire. You can improve your skill set. Company is there to support you. Manager is there to give you a direction. And you know your profession better than any individual out there who is part of different industry or different profession. So there is kind of a support system for you if you are part of a company. But there are many people who are graduating or who have graduated, and due to pressing time of COVID-19, they couldn't get a chance to, step into the corporate sector. So there is a time gap. They have a gap on their CVs, and right now they're all redundant because they have graduated, but somehow they are not getting chance to work, or they're not getting their first gig. So what do you suggest to these people that what they could do within this time period to develop themselves?
Excellent question. A lot of youngsters, they are going through very difficult times. I know getting that first job, especially in this specific COVID-19, is extremely challenging. However, I will recommend and I will urge the youngsters that are watching to your show and that are on LinkedIn, on Facebook, is to increase their visibility. Number one, try to contribute in whatever ways you can on LinkedIn, in whatever ways you can. So whatever your subject specialist you are, that you have graduated from, try to write an article on that. Number one. Number two, try to start a YouTube channel. It is very important that you need to have various creative ways for visibility, because visibility is a perfect way to get your foot in the door, as they rightly said. But if you just wait for the opportunity to arrive, that will be difficult. Third of all, it's important to talk to a career practitioner. He or she will be able to guide you on how you can rebrand yourself and redirect yourself in this very difficult COVID-19 era. And it is very important. I cannot, I will urge all of you to network, network, and network. And what is the best way to do that? If you ask someone, can you give me a job, Noman? Noman said, what happened to Raza all of a sudden? If you ask Noman, can you give me career advice? Oh, I'll be happy to give you career advice. So it's about your framing. How do you frame? How do you frame your? Are you portraying yourself as a desperate job seeker, which I hope you are not. I mean, you are, but you don't need to share that, right? You need to show that you have the confidence. You are an educated person who has acquired a degree from a recognized university across the globe, and you need to say, I want to have an informational interview with Mr. XYZ. Will you be happy
I believe something happened with Raza's internet connection. So maybe I lost him. Raza, something happened to your internet connection, so maybe you can just sign in again. In the meanwhile, I can take over this part and I can talk about, yes, as Raza rightly mentioned, that visibility is the key factor. If you are talented, it doesn't matter how much talented you are, but if you're not visible, then probably you will not be getting chances which you deserve. So talent has to be visible. So you can work on visibility factor by personal branding yourself. And personal branding is very much important. So Raza is still not there. So personal branding is an art. You call it a skill, you call it a size, whatever you call it. But personal branding is a need of the time. It doesn't matter you're an experienced professional or you are a young, fresh graduate. You can still work on your branding. You can write an article. You can talk about the projects that you did in your master's program. You can talk about certain things that could differentiate you from other applicants. You can build your network. How can you build your network? You have to connect with the like-minded people on LinkedIn plus other social media platforms. Sorry, Raza, we got you back. I think there was an internet problem, but
No
I'm
worries. I
good
think
that you
adaptability
joined
is
back.
important as well.
Right. So I was just talking about that, talent needs visibility. So it doesn't matter how talented you are, first you need to make yourself visible. And if you want to make yourself visible, the best thing that you mentioned that, try to build up a network of like-minded people. Try to connect with the people who are in your desired industry, who could, push your employment application, who could help you to grow personally and professionally. And as you mentioned that, if someone would ask you, Raza, can you give me a job? First, they have to understand, is Raza in a position to give them a job, right? So yes, Raza might be in a position to give you some kind of career counseling. Raza might be in a condition to tell you that how things work in the corporate sector and how can you make yourself visible, because he's not a recruiter at the end of the day. And even a recruiter cannot give you a job, because jobs comes from the companies. If there is a need, there's a requirement, then it will be published. So recruiter cannot place you somewhere on his personal will and wish. So there is kind of a complete system, and how does this system works, that's what you have to learn. And then we have some people who joined us. For example, Sunil joined us from India. Thank you, Sunil, for tuning in. It would be great if you could just share your opinion about the topic. And then Joseph is saying visibility and transparency. Of course, Joseph, that's what we are talking about as well. And in the meanwhile, we got another comment from Zach. Zach, thank you very much for being a keen listener and watching our stream. And Zach is saying one of the major concern is the link of learning and development that is missing in most companies. HR manager is taking too much of tasks. So learning and development is essential for products, for any companies such as learning and development. Your thought, please. So I think, Raza, Zach, you rightly mentioned that learning and development is the heart of HR, if I would say, because that's the area where HR can really add value to the success of the organization and to the success of the business. You can upskill your workforce. You can, develop talent within your companies. You can develop and define a complete bench strength or pipeline of talent. So what are your thoughts, Raza, about this learning and development
Uh,
and
uh,
connection with career
Thank you, Zach.
development?
I really appreciate your very keen engagement. Learning and development is essential, and it is imperative in these difficult times. So I would recommend the leading learning development influencers. Make a list of those, whether they are 5 or 10 or maybe 20. Why don't you conduct an event at your organization, a virtual event in which you are influencing the influencer? That's a great marketing technique, and that will automatically understand that how learning and development is no longer a luxury; it is a priority. And it is absolutely essential in these times of COVID-19 that our learning cycles are constantly adapted and are constantly engaged. This whole COVID-19, there are different styles of learning, right? That people were not used to remote working. People were not used to working from home. So learning and development in this COVID-19, if you pitch it in with this angle, hopefully you will get a better response from HR. But I think the key is influencing the influencer in the field of learning and development.
Then we
Thank you.
also have Mohsin watching us. I think I can assume that Mohsin is based in Pakistan. Thank you very much for being there and watching our live stream. Then we also have Bilal. Bilal is saying, hello, brother, here for the first time. And let's see what this all about. Bilal, we are discussing career transformation, career development, career progression. So we have Raza with us, and Raza is an experienced career counselor with huge experience in this field, and we are talking about different tools and strategies and Raza's opinion about this topic. And then we have again Zach. Zach is watching us from Toronto. Thank you very much for being there, Zach. Sunil, yes, as mentioned, network is a net worth. Of course, network is the net worth if you have built it wisely and properly. Again, numbers doesn't matter. The network has to be a qualitative network. There should be people who are really adding value to your personal and professional life, who are really there to pick you up and take you somewhere at a stage where you feel that career transformation really happened. So, Raza, thank you very much for being such a wonderful guest speaker and talk about this topic. And I think we are running out of time. And before wrapping up our live session, maybe one last comment from your side.
Thank you very much. The audience has been very engaged. I'm really happy and to see an engaged audience. Thank you, Noman, for doing an excellent job in facilitating this dialogue. I think career transformation is a continued dialogue. This was the first effort from both of us. It is important to be consistently engaged in career development. It is important to be visible in these times of chaos, in these times of COVID-19, and it is imperative to remain hopeful. The best is yet to come. Thank you for listening.
Right. So I think just building on top of Raza's comment, I would love to say about it that, career transformation is a journey. And if you want to prepare yourself for the upcoming challenges, for the technology tools and, restructuring, which is right in front of us, if you want to prepare yourself for these things, first you have to understand the dynamics. What is changing, why it is being changed, and why it has to be changed. Once you understand the dynamics of change, which is happening all around us quite swiftly and rapidly, then you should prepare yourself to accept and embrace that change. The worst thing that you can do to yourself that you go somewhere unprepared. So prepare yourself before it is too late. So it will be never late if you have time, understand the dynamics, embrace the change, but first learn about the change, what is happening, and what is going on around us. So thank you very much for being part of this live stream from wherever you joined us. So wherever you are, just stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of your families, and take care of people in your surroundings. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead.